Hello everyone, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In today's video I am bored, so let's go to the Nether. And I'm not talking about in Minecraft. I'm talking about in real life. This is a thought experiment to see what would happen if we discovered the Nether in real life. So without any further ado, let's jump right into it. Hold on. Alright. Don't know why that never works the first time. Anyways, the first people to actually open a portal to the Nether would be relatively small YouTubers who make relatively small portals. These portals wouldn't be big enough to actually go through. As these small YouTubers start finding each other on the internet, they make a group called the Nether Gang because I am unoriginal. The Nether Gang has a goal to make the Nether well known to the world, but they know no one would believe them, even with physical proof, as the portals are small enough to fit in their hand, and they didn't have enough money to get enough obsidian to make a life-sized Nether portal. There was only one person on this planet with enough money, enough influence, and was crazy enough to make a life-sized Nether portal, and his name was Mr. Beast. Over the years, the Nether Gang grew more and more, and got closer and closer to reaching their goal and contacting Jimmy. Until one day, they complete their mission and convince Jimmy to make a life-sized Nether portal. This takes a while, but then the day comes. Mr. Beast lights the portal, and like that, there was a portal to the Nether. This leaves everyone in shock, except for the Nether Gang, who would be celebrating like there was no tomorrow. They explained the entire situation to Mr. Beast, but while they were doing that, something comes out of the portal. A zombie piglin came through the portal, and though everyone is freaking out about this, the zombie piglin barely flinches, as it is just a mindless husk of what was once a living, breathing piglin. Though everyone is tempted to, they do not fight the zombie piglin, as they know it would be a bad idea. Instead, everyone just pushes the zombie piglin back into the Nether, without actually hurting it. Eventually, they destroy the portal to make sure nothing else comes out, and then Mr. Beast decides to share this discovery, and it eventually grabs the attention of the federal government. Then, after getting an army ready to go to the Nether, they relight the portal and enter. When they enter, the Nether is way different from how it is in the game. In order to make it somewhat realistic that life could be supported here, first of all, skeletons and wither skeletons wouldn't exist, as those are the remains of humans, and this is the first time humans have actually entered the Nether. Second, what were once lava oceans are now liquid water, the key essential to all life. Because of this, the Striders are now dolphin-like creatures. It was also a lot cooler because of this, and perhaps the creatures of the skeletons we can see in the Soul Sand Valleys still roam the Nether to this day. Still hot enough that there's random fire everywhere and lava pouring from the ceiling, though. It even had piglin villages, the thing everyone wants. This Nether was much more diverse than the one we see in-game. This Nether was nothing like what the army was expecting. Well, almost nothing. They end up encountering some piglins, which were scared of these new creatures. Luckily, the government had been doing research, and covered their armor and gear with a layer of gold, and once the piglins noticed this, they saw it as a sign of peace and decided to leave them alone. They continued to explore the Nether, and any hostile creatures they met along the way would get obliterated by the army. Things were going well, until they came across a bastion they tried to loot. One piglin tried to communicate with them before they went in, but it was pointless as they didn't speak piglin. They could tell by his body language, however, that he was telling them to not go inside, to which they ignore. Because of this, a battle ensues. Not much of a battle, though, as most of the piglin and piglin brutes end up with a chest full of bullets, and the rest retreated, because it's fair to say that we are way more prepared than these piglins could ever be. As good as things were going, we all know that some Russian spy would find out about this. Russia ends up making their own portal and try to conquer the Nether for themselves. However, they came underprepared. The humans' entrance into the Nether had reached all corners of the piglin population. They have watched the Americans mine for netherite and understood how strong it was, so they started mining some of their own. Once this new portal opened, the piglins gave the Russians no mercy. The guns had practically no effect on the netherite armor, and the netherite swords and axes pierced right through the Russians. Even the zombie piglins joined in, not because they were attacked, not because their home was in danger, but because the piglins killed by the Americans came back as some of the zombie piglins. And though they were just reflections of a past life, the hatred and need for revenge fueled them. And because zombie piglins have a hive mind of sorts, when one zombie piglin is mad at you, all the zombie piglins are mad at you. The Russians were killed, and those who survived fled back to Earth. Though the piglins had won the battle, they knew to win the war, they would have to take the battle to the humans' playing field. A few days had passed since the Russians failed invading the Nether, and now it was the piglins' turn. And unfortunately for the humans, these guys weren't turning into zombies. This turned into a full-on war, and unfortunately, the piglins were winning. They were slowly invading Earth, and it was so much of a threat, all of the countries of Earth put aside their differences, as for once they had a common enemy. Millions died. Every day was a constant battle between man and pig, zombie and skeleton, animal and mob. This continues for 6 years. The piglins have at this point taken over all of the western part of Earth, and we're making progress on the other half. And because of what we left behind on those continents, they were only getting stronger. If the humans lived, if the humans lived after coming into contact with the piglins, they escaped to another country or became slaves of the piglins. One slave stood among the rest, however. Someone from the original Nether gang was unable to escape, and it was now working for the piglins day and night. He had learned the piglin language and started wanting to bond with the piglins. The piglins treated him the worse, as he was seen as the reason the portals opened up in the first place. But over time, he grows on some of the piglins. After years and years of fighting, the piglins finally see, though we can be real douchebags, not all humans are bad, and call a peace treaty with the remaining humans. Despite all odds, this ends up being successful, and the war finally ends.
For the humans lived after coming into contact with the piglets, they escaped to another country.
I didn't ask you, Siri.
I don't understand. I didn't ask you, Siri, but I could search the web for it.
No. Where was I? Oh yeah, despite all odds, this ends up being successful, and the war finally ends. The piglins give back the land to the humans and go back to the Nether. Neither side may be able to forget, but forgiveness was still possible. Earth and the Nether started healing. In fact, most wars on Earth had ended, as the humans who survived the war had to work together and realized that they weren't that different from each other. There's still wars, but countries had stopped seeing their enemies as just enemies, but as living, breathing people trying to do whatever they can for their people. Over the years, Earth and the Nether trade items like netherite and blaze rods for things like smartphones and air conditioning. The one downside to all of this, besides the murder, was that the Nether Gang would feel bad for causing so many deaths, and Mr. Beast helped with this, so he's probably not going to make any more videos. So yeah, Nether in real life equals no Mr. Beast. How did we get here? After time, humans came to the Nether to call it home, and piglins came to Earth to call it home. Humans could have piglins in their families, and piglins could have humans in their families. As the years go on, younger generations might not know of a world where piglins and humans were enemies. There had been exploration teams who have documented the Nether species, and even a project to break through the bedrock ceiling. Who knew all it took to have world peace was to start rivalry with another dimension? Well, good thing